Welcome
On
back
this
to another
episode
episode
of
of CEOs of the
CEOs of the
Industry. I'm your
Industry,
host,
we're
Jim
joined by
Eadie, today
Michael
with Patrick
Agerli,
Joyce from
partner
Passel
at
Farms.
IQ
Welcome,
in a
Patrick.
Box. We
Hey
explore
Jim,
how
how are you? Good to be
data-driven
here.
thinking is shaping
We appreciate you
decision-making
joining us.
across
It's
the
been quite the
livestock industry.
journey. Now, before we get into this, how would you describe Passel Farms in terms of scale, including sow size, geographical footprint, the journey that brought you to this point, and maybe a quick background on you, Pat?
Yeah, sure. I think it's good to start with just our name as Passel Farms. It's a bit unique, and when we landed on that name, the word Passel really at the end of the day means group. And so as we brought a couple of different groups together, it took on a lot of meaning for us. And so that's really carrying forward here, into our first 2 years. So today we are 60,000 sows. We'll market just short of 1.5 million hogs a year. Overall, our footprint is primarily in Iowa. We have about 30,000 sows in Iowa, the balance of which is between Minnesota, Nebraska, Kansas. We have sows in Indiana, South Carolina, and Georgia. From a finishing perspective, primarily all in Iowa, with some finishing in eastern Nebraska. And so, from the journey that really brought us to this point, really was two organizations that had a lot of roots and that were deep into production and experience and with history. And one was Standard Nutrition, and which historically provided nutrition consulting and management services to our pork management businesses, and also held investments in farrowing and finishing. And then Cactus Family Farms, which was really a diversification strategy for Cactus feeders, which is a large beef production business. And so for both of these businesses, the combination of pork interests and into Passel Farms really provided a lot of opportunity and the ability to really focus and create a vision for the future. My background really was out of school was as a CPA, and as we started having kids, my wife is from near my hometown. We moved back to Emmitsburg, Iowa, where I joined Kerber Milling Company, and at that time, back in 2000, so just about 26 years ago, they had recently gotten involved and helped create what was the Hawkeye system, which was about 25,000 sows at that time. And so for that, from that period to 2018, really worked with the Kerber family to develop that business. And then in 2018, that's when we joined Standard Nutrition Company. And so from there, it's evolved to today where we're at with Passel Farms.
So, Pat, how has acquiring Cactus and reorganizing Standard Nutrition shaped the current scale of operations?
Well, as I mentioned, it's basically two 30,000 sow farrow-to-finish operations, essentially, at the end of the day. So, we basically, for both management teams that came together, really it was like a doubling in scale. And really, at the end of the day, it provided an opportunity for us to utilize all of our resources in terms of people, assets, and geographies much better. We were able to improve mill utilization, focus regional business development, improved utilization of our bore stud, and at the end of the day, created great opportunities for growth and development of the talent within our business.
So, the integration was May 2024, which was a major milestone. Were there challenges, Pat, bringing the two operations together, and what did you learn from that process?
Yeah, there's certainly challenges, and with any business combination or integration, and really, no matter how much work you do on the front end to vet those out, or how much it seems like your vision and cultures are the same, there's always differences that you identify and uncover. And so, at the end of the to start, I'm sorry, was really the information systems. That was our biggest challenge. And so we spent the first part of our period together working to combine the information systems so that our teams are operating and communicating off of that same set. And so that was really the biggest challenge we had. and provided a real good first opportunity for our teams to get to know each other, who they are individually, as well as who they need to be as a team.
Is there a behind the scenes story that stands out from the integration?
I think really the behind the scenes piece would have been more so from what we did even prior to the combination. We had gotten to know the group from Cactus Family Farms before the combination, and so we had the opportunity to meet, discuss kind of how we saw the future, and that led to a lot of really good discussion and planning and excitement for the direction we were headed in. And so as we hit, which our 2-year anniversary will be actually tomorrow, as we are talking today, as we hit day one, it was very nice to have these teams come together, very focused to move forward.
So Passel Farms has carried forward the community support legacy of Cactus Cares through Passel. So it provides what was important to continue this mission and what impact has it had on the culture of the company?
Yeah, it was very important to carry on this legacy that was developed by Cactus and through originally Cactus Cares, as you referenced, and also the number of individuals that it touches. We believe as pork producers, it's our job to make sure that pork's available for families in our community. And the vast majority of families are able to get pork at the grocery store, but some of our neighbors and need assistance from time to time, and this creates that opportunity to be able to provide that assistance. And inside of that program, or what Passel Provides does now, Cactus had created a program called the Power Program, which is really a protein outreach with educational resources, is what Power stands for. And it really directly creates two impactful outcomes for every dollar that is spent. And one supports agricultural education, and then the second outcome is it fights food insecurity by partnering with university meat science labs, and where we purchase protein from their department, and then we donate the protein to rural food pantries. And so we're excited that that can continue, and really hope to grow that as well. And since 2020, over 235,000 pounds of meat's been donated, and we work with today now with Iowa State and Nebraska, serving over 15 food pantries in Iowa and Nebraska. So we're really excited about the opportunity to really grow that, and it's had great impact on our people as they take pride in these programs, that really impact their own communities that they work and live in.
So how do employees and growers connect with this focus on giving back?
Well, it all ties into, what we mean by families feeding families, which has really become a short tagline of how we see ourselves. And so for employees and growers, they connect really just on the focus of giving back in these different ways. And really the most prevalent way is just by being active participants and helping us add food pantries to our network. And in fact, just the past couple of months, we've had growers connect us to 2 additional food pantries in their communities that we'll be part of moving forward. And so, that really gives us that opportunity to reach those communities, and it's really our employees and contract growers and relationships that take us there.
So what role does this work play in strengthening these relationships with the communities where you operate?
Yeah. Well, the work certainly plays an important role strengthening the relationships in the communities we operate, because it just illustrates the truth of the matter, which is that we're members of the community, and like most, we want to positively contribute, to the communities that we're in. So, we personally do it by making sure our friends and neighbors who may be going through a period that requires a little extra help and food assistance have access to it. And so there's a real purpose, behind the what we do in terms of Passel Provides.
So Prop 12, that's been a hot topic lately in the pork industry. You were repopulating 2 Prop 12 farms, Pat. What does this mean for Passel Farms and the broader pork industry?
Yeah, coming into Passel Farms, we had 2 Prop 12 farms. We did in 2025 decide to depopulate one just due to health challenges that we had encountered. And really, as we sit today, we are still determining what its future direction is, whether or not we'll repopulate that farm as Prop 12 or not. And certainly the, pending legislative efforts, through the Farm Bill can certainly influence it. But, as a producer, we certainly support consumer choice and the opportunity for a producer to pursue a consumer-driven market. It's just the patchwork of definitions that exist today make it very problematic for planning. And so, we sit and kind of watch and make sure we're making the best informed decision that we can as we move forward.
Are there other unique challenges that come with meeting the Prop 12 standards?
There is, I mean, certainly outside of the known costs that, really aren't unique. I think some of the things that we've identified as we work through it is that, the system that you're operating potentially it just gets segmented to manage pig flow and marketing commitments. And so beyond the known costs of less efficiency versus fixed costs that exist, you have that segmentation that also adds some operational challenges. And then if you have some health challenge, it further complicates it because it poses different cost contingencies, supply disruption, and broader system management challenges. And so, those are some unique challenges to that, trying to meet that attribute and succeeding with it.
How do you see these farms influencing future production practices or welfare expectations?
Well, I believe certainly it's only going to continue to put the spotlight on transparency, and the expectation for verified housing and things of that matter, and certainly it impacts future infrastructure decisions, marketing decisions, alignment decisions. It's not always just about farm management. So it really will put a lot of focus just into the overall strategy. And our focus is to continue to improve our system really on all fronts, which includes animal welfare and production practices regardless. And so we have to stay focused there. This kind of production certainly though draws more attention to it, and it's not a bad thing, but certainly will be the focus as it moves forward as well.
So leading a large multi-state farrow-to-finish operation requires innovation beyond traditional farm management. So what leadership and operational approaches have you introduced to keep Passel Farms moving forward?
Right. As you referenced the geography earlier, that was one of the first things that we had to begin to really overcome. And drawing on some experience that we had from years ago, we had worked to introduce what's called the entrepreneurial operating system, which was based on a book called Traction by Gino Wickman. And we had worked to implement that, and we made great progress, but we did lose some momentum with it. And then recently in 25 in a leadership meeting, we had reintroduced the book and this time with a facilitator. So to kind of really move us forward with a larger organization, larger geographic territory, we got focused back into EOS and really it forces us to live within 90-day periods that force us to create focus and meeting cadences, problem identification, and all of that activity that's consistent with what our long-term vision is. And so it's been wonderful to see the team really develop over the last year, which closed a lot of gaps in geography, communication, and prioritization of what we're trying to accomplish every single day.
How are you using data, technology, or organizational structure to drive efficiency and consistency?
The part of the reason we were, excited to learn more about Cactus is they had an information system that they had built internally that was really focused farrow-to-finish, and as a system then we fully have adopted and embraced, and so that's been a key driver of it. Again, that one system that everybody really works around, that provides full visibility into what we're doing each day, and so that's been been very good for us to work through it. It's highly integrated with our financial system and allowed us to be extremely efficient as we move forward. So, overall, as we look forward, if growth is in our future and those opportunities exist, we're excited about the ability to scale what we're doing today to work forward.
So when scaling quickly, have you encountered any risks? And if so, how have you managed them?
Well, I mean, anytime you scale or grow, it really, there are a few things that you're focused on, and really it starts with people, and their bandwidth and the ability to, grow with confidence in achieving results. And so, that generally is one of the first risk. And then, secondly, it's about what's your vision for the geography and the assets and logistics and how people work with all of that as well. And so, you know, we've, again, going back to what we're working on in terms of day-to-day management, the EOS, our communication, that is really where our focus is at each and every day. When we scale as well, we got to think about onboarding new employees. How do we get them engaged in what the business is doing, understand the scope of what we're working with. And then finally, as we scaled as well, really thinking through what does the margin structure of the business look like? How do we manage that confidently and effectively, over a broader scope of business as well? So all those have come with great focus and systems behind them that we continue to improve and try to progress each and every day.
So Passel Farms emphasizes responsibility for animal welfare, the environment, and rural communities. How do you put those priorities into practice at scale?
Well, first and foremost, we believe responsibility starts with the daily care of the animals that are entrusted to us, and so we focus on maintaining the highest standards, of animal welfare and ensuring that's consistent across our business, whether that's in feed, clean water, proper ventilation, proactive health management, and so on. And we also recognize, our responsibility to the environment. And so we continue to invest in technologies and management practices and that improve, manure utilization, enhance sustainability, reduce the environmental impact across our facilities. And so, all of that is really, just comes together each day, and there's just a ton of things to focus on, and as you think about animal welfare, environment, and in our communities.
Are there specific programs or upgrades you've made in welfare or environmental stewardship as you've grown?
Well, as we've grown and or as Passel Farms has come together, we do have internally developed systems and software that allow us to see real-time manure inventory levels, so we can plan further out and partner with crop farmers and on land application. And so, that's one way of which we continue to work to advance and capitalize on those programs and technology.
So looking ahead, Pat, what is your long-term vision for Passel Farms over the next decade?
Well, we summarize, our long-term vision or a 10-year focus. Really is about aligning our production, market access, and relationships in a way that supports producers, our processors, our employees, and our communities through changing market cycles. And certainly today we're in a very good market cycle. We know that that's going to continue to change, and we want to make sure that our system is built to sustain those market cycles. And we really frame it internally very simply, just in terms of a phrase, is balancing shackle with sows. And the statement not only forces focus on being a key supplier for whether it's processing that we're invested in or other valued processing relationships, but really how capital is confidently allocated for the long term. And so that really sets our vision here over the next 10 years.
And what trends or technologies do you believe will reshape the pork industry?
Well, the easy answer is AI today. We're seeing that obviously continue to change, not even by the week, but almost by the day. But it's not going to replace the human touch to animal welfare and care. It will greatly enhance our ability to be more targeted and efficient, And that's going to be extremely important as we look to the future to utilize labor in the best way possible, especially labor that is not necessarily as trained or maybe part of the agricultural base that we've, as when I grew up. And so that'll be, very important. I also expect the pork industry is going to continue to evolve and work to meet the consumer where it is in terms of value of pork as a protein. And we need to meet their needs in terms of flavor, nutrition, access, and affordability. I think pork has a great opportunity to capitalize on that. And so, I do believe that we'll continue to make progress on that as an industry.
And if you could leave one lasting legacy on the industry through Passel Farms, what would it be, Pat?
Well, I certainly hope Passel Farms is recognized for becoming a people story rather than, a business combination or scale story, which is what happened to Passel really. But at the end of the day, it really is a people story. It's my hope that our legacy is all about families feeding families. We're all part of a family, however you want to define it. The result of what we do feeds other families. And for Passel Farms, this means, we not only make a difference within our own Passel, our own group, but also for many others. And so we really want that to be our lasting legacy.
And are you open to a fast five, rapid five questions, Pat, to close?
Absolutely.
So your favorite part of your day on the farm?
Well, in my role today, I unfortunately don't get on the farm or some of our locations as much as I'd like to. But when I do, what I truly enjoy is seeing the teams and the pride they take in what they do as they talk about the improvements they've made or they move forward some of the investments that we've made. That is really satisfying, to see.
One leadership lesson you live by?
The one that I most often reflect on is listen first and trust others to do the right thing. Everybody wants to always do the right thing. Sometimes it's hard to see results or outcomes and not really listen first. And so that's the number one lesson I always go back to.
The best piece of advice you've ever received?
The title doesn't make you a qualified leader. And I think oftentimes we're always aspiring to grow or we're looking to the title, but it's really focusing on leadership that is most important.
A book, podcast, or resource you recommend to others in agriculture?
Recently, I've come across the podcast that I've enjoyed listening to by Damian Mason, The Business of Agriculture. He's a former comedian with a focus on economics and has an agricultural background as well, and has done a good job of framing some broader agricultural issues that really all are facing. So it's been fun to listen to that and think about how the swine industry participates in that or is impacted by the business of agriculture.
In one word you'd use to describe the future of Passel Farms?
Purposeful. So we're excited about where we're at and what we plan to do, and it's truly purposeful.
Well, Pat Joyce, thanks for joining CEOs of the Industry.
Thank you very much, Jim. Appreciate it.